Hey, what's up everyone? My name's PersNikity. Welcome back to Uncharted Drake's Fortune. We're moving on to Chapter 9, To the Tower, and this is, once again, on brutal difficulty. Now, Chapter 8 transitions you directly into Chapter 9. There's no cutscene or anything like that. Instead, you're just thrown onto this jet ski, and once again, we gotta fight our way through these waters. So, if you've made it through Chapter 8, there's nothing different going on here. Basically, you're gonna take the slow and steady approach. You'll notice how I'm riding up to the walls instead of riding out in the open, and then what I do when I get to a wall is I stop, I aim, and I scan the entire area for enemies, because in this section there's a lot of windows, there's a lot of balconies, there's a lot of bridges and rooftops, and so there's a lot of different areas where the enemies can be standing. And so you just got to make your way very slowly, because if you know, your first instinct is going to be to just drive the jet ski out into the open, and if you do that on brutal, you're gonna have a bad time. So hopefully you guys got that little reference, if anyone is even listening at all. But yeah, basically just take the slow and steady approach. Creep your way up to walls, peek around the walls. You can switch which shoulder you're looking over by clicking the joystick while aiming, and other than that, there's nothing else new to this. It's basically the same that you witnessed in the previous chapter, only this time obviously on a different track and kind of a bigger scope. The waters here are much wider. There's a lot more areas to look for the enemies, but mechanics wise, it's basically the same approach. And so Chapter 9 is Chapter 9 can be a bit tough. So in the last video I was talking about how once you make it to Chapter 8, a lot of the game is pretty simple. Like, in my opinion, chapters 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, those all aren't that bad. Chapter 20 can be a bit tough, but then chapters 21 and 22 are also relatively simple. Chapter 9 is kind of the outlier of the bunch. So all in all, Chapter 9, when you look at it, it's not terribly bad. Like, there's just a couple firefights you got to get through. This whole jet ski area, it might take a little bit of time because you have to go slow and be safe. But it's nothing difficult. It's just a bit annoying, in my opinion. But the thing is, in this chapter, and you'll see what I mean, you know, in the minutes to come. But in this chapter, there are a couple firefights which the reason they're tough is because of the surroundings you're thrown into. So you can see here, actually, real quick, I just shot that giant stone thing, the counterweight for the gate. There's two of those, and the first one you can shoot from a really easy vantage point, but the second one is kind of hidden by this building, so you're going to kind of have to venture out to shoot it. So before you do that, just kind of take a couple, looks around and make sure that you have in fact killed everybody. And then once you kind of get the okay, once you feel like you're safe, all you have to do is get through that gate and you're pretty much good to go. So once you feel like you're safe, shoot the other counterweight. Takes a couple seconds for the gate to drop, but then you can just fly over that and move on to the next section. But yeah, so I was talking in this game about, some of the things that make it difficult are
I'll meet you back at the customs house.
are the environments that you're thrown into, because depending on how, depending on what type of cover the game allows you, that's going to drastically change your approach. And so you can see right here, we have some good cover. We have this large stone, tablet that we can hide behind, and then there's also this big wall that we can use for alternative cover. But in a couple seconds, you're going to see the video cut. You'll get a checkpoint here. And now we're going to have to kill enemies that are across this little alleyway. And that's why you're going to see the video cut, because this part is very hard. There is a small channel of water separating us from, like, the 6 or 7 enemies that are on the other side. And so that just makes it really hard, because there's nothing to take cover in between us. So, like, if you try to get to the other end, there's nothing to take cover behind. And so what you see I'm doing here is I actually used what remaining Magnum ammo I had, and I took out 2 guys right off the bat. So far, so good. But what's going to happen is, you could shoot the guys that are visible, but there's more guys across here that are not visible. So what you're going to have to eventually do is you're going to have to jump into the water, swim across, and that's when some more enemies are going to start charging you. So get your pistol ready right away, and as soon as these guys run up, just start unloading on them. And you can see this is really hard. Like, I almost died right here. Chances are I would have killed that guy had I not had to reload, but the quicker you can kill them, the better. Now, once those two are out of the picture, that's when you can make your move. So hop up here. There's going to be two guys on the left, one up and one down. So just barely peek out, take out the guy that's up first, and now there's another guy that's down low, but you can see that in the time it took us to do that, a third guy spawned in the very center. And that's what makes it really hard, is you basically just have to always keep moving. So once you kill that first guy, there's going to be the second guy way over here that you have to worry about. If you have a grenade, test your luck, try throwing the grenade. If you don't have the grenade, then just aim your pistol. It's a long way to aim, but it's nothing, you know, impossible. It's not an impossible distance, but with him out of the way, either with him, even if he's not out of the way, once you get an opening, you can run over here and melee this guy to death, or shoot him to death, whatever you prefer. And then if you weren't able to kill the guy that was, you know, the last guy to spawn, then you can kind of make your way up here slowly and take him out. So you see that he's actually still alive. My grenade did not kill him, but what my grenade did do was it forced him back a little bit into cover, and it was because of that that I was able to run up and take out the other guy before taking on this guy. So yeah, like I said, this part can be really tough, not because of the soldiers themselves. You know, at this point we're used to the combat and everything. The reason it's difficult is because the environment around us is just really hard to work with. There's not a lot of cover options as we make our way over to this side of the water, and that's what really presents us with most of the difficulty. Now you're going to do a bit of climbing here, and then we are going to move on to another firefight, which again can be a bit tough. The first part is actually the toughest. So this firefight's kind of divided into three small sections. The first part's definitely the toughest, and that again is because it kind of throws you into this tough position. But you're about to see the video cut. That's because you'll get a checkpoint here, and I ended up dying quite a few times. Hop down, run up, and take cover right away, because this guy's going to storm you with his powerful weapon. Use your grenade to get him out of the way really fast, and then use another grenade to take out these two guys. If you don't have any grenades, obviously your guns are going to have to do the job, but you know, there's some grenades that you can find in the previous sections, and those should be able to help you. Use another grenade to take out that guy at the very far end of this map, and once you do that, that is the end of the first part. So if you can get through that part, that's the hardest part of this firefight. Now you do have to do all this in one go, and that's what makes it kind of tough, because if you die in the third part, you're going to have to do that whole first part over again, and trust me, I know that from experience. But that's the first part, and the reason that's tough is because there's just not a lot of great cover areas to use alternative cover. Now this is the second part. You can see now I'm using alternative cover. So I'm slowly peeking around this corner, and I'm just going to take out the guys as they make themselves visible. And notice the beauty of alternative cover here. I'm able to basically shoot through the wall, and the enemies are not able to make contact with me. Now you can see that this guy with the grenade launcher keeps shooting at me, so he's going to be your priority, but this guy over here might spawn, and that will make it a bit tougher. So you might have to take him out first, take out this henchman, and then focus all your efforts on the grenade launcher enemy on top here. Okay. With him out of the way, now you are moving on to the third and final part of this firefight. So you remember the two enemies that rode in the beginning with the powerful weapons? Definitely try to make use of their weapons, because like the Magnum 44, it's a one-hit kill from super far distances. So you see right here, this guy, well, I missed that guy, but that guy, really far away, one-shot kill. This guy, really far away, one-shot kill. And so this weapon is superb when trying to take out enemies at long distances. In some ways, it's even better than the sniper rifle because it's easier to aim. But so once no more guys are rushing at you, you're not out of the woods yet, but you are almost done with the third and final section of this firefight. So those guys won't spawn until you kind of run up a bit further. Before you do that, you can run around. There's some more ammo to pick up. There's some grenades on the box behind me. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to completely use this Magnum before I moved on with the rest of the level. So you see here, now once I run out of ammo, I'm going to run back here, pick up a new gun. There should be some grenades lying around. I'm not 100% on that, but there's definitely a lot of guns lying around. And so just kind of take your chance to stock up on ammo. And then once you do that, if you want to take the safe approach, which I'm guessing you do, you're going to want to run back to this location here, because this location, you see that the benefits are, one, we can use alternative cover. 2, the enemies can only come at us from one area, and that is through these 2 walls ahead of us. And 3, if the enemies try to rush you, like you saw that shotgun enemy just do, you have plenty of distance in between you and the enemy to take him out before he's even able to get close to you. And so it's little things like that. Like, that's, what makes Brutal Difficulty so hard is obviously that you die incredibly fast. But kind of just through practice and or using a walkthrough, you can make these sections so much easier by just knowing where to go. Like, what are the best places to stand. Now you see there's still 2 guys left down here. I decided to take out one with a grenade. Looking back on that might not have been the smartest decision. Kind of one of my rules is to try to keep 1 grenade in my inventory at all times. But the thing is, I knew what was coming up. Like, I knew what to expect, and so I knew that, for the time being, I don't really need any more grenades. And so that kind of just comes with experience of this game. Having played this game so many times, I can know, when I need grenades and when I don't. But obviously, it's always just a safe approach to have a grenade in your inventory, because why not? It's not going to hurt you any, so you might as well try to keep 1. But if you have to use one, it's not the end of the world. Now, once you kill all these guys, what I recommend doing here is picking up a shotgun. Typically, I like to avoid the shotgun because I don't like its range. I like to have long-range weapons instead of close-range weapons. But what's going to happen is once you're done with this firefight, we're going to go into the structure ahead of us. And there's going to be 2 enemies that are hiding, and they will not come out until you approach them. And that can be really dangerous, especially if you're not expecting them. And I would like to think that the game gives you a checkpoint after all this, but you don't want to bank on that. So what you're going to want to do, equip your shotgun, aim over the left shoulder, and creep up to this doorway here. And as soon as you see the enemy, take him out. So you can see that's a really stressful thing to do because you do not want to get that close to an enemy on Brutal. Now aim over your right shoulder, and we're going to do the same exact thing. We're going to creep around this corner, creep into this doorway here, and as soon as you see the guy, take him out with the shotgun. And once you do that, now you are pretty much done with this chapter. So there is going to be, I believe, 1 more guy to kill, possibly 2, but it's a really easy kill, and there's nothing to worry about. And so from here, we're basically just going to do some climbing, and I think I actually, for a second, I forgot what to do, which never happens. Like, I've mentioned this in a couple videos, but I have played Uncharted Drake's Fortune from start to finish more than 10 times. This is definitely the #1 game I've played the most in my lifetime. And so typically I don't ever forget where to go, but for some reason here I just kind of forgot what I had to do. But basically we're just going to do a bit of climbing here, and that's going to be the end. So I'll take this opportunity to say thanks for watching, guys. Like and subscribe if you get the chance. I haven't had a lot of feedback from these videos, so I'd appreciate if you guys wanted to leave some comments letting me know what you think of the game, what you think of the gameplay, what you think of the editing, anything like that. Any chance I get to kind of interact with my subscribers, I think that's really fun to do. And also, we're kind of reaching a dry spell in video games, so a lot of there's typically 2 periods where new games come out, and that is October, like September and October and November, and the beginning of the year. And the reasons for that is, developers really like to push out new games in October and November because you got Christmas right around the corner, and so they want all the kids to ask for those games for Christmas. And then a lot of people like to push out games at the very start of the year because it's just, let's start off this year strong with our profits. Like Resident Evil 7 is probably the best example of that. Capcom decided to release that game in January so they could say, hey, we're going to start off 2017 strong. This is going to be, our comeback year. So basically the point I'm trying to get to is we're kind of reaching the dry spell of months where not a lot of new games are coming out. Or I shouldn't say that, but I should say that a lot of games are coming out, but not games that interest me. So like the Switch, in the month of March, all the games on the Switch are coming out, and I think that's cool, but it's just not for me. And so one thing I'd like you guys to do in the comments is you can leave game requests. Like, is there any game you want me to see? Let me know. And if it's a game that I think I'll enjoy, and if it's a game that I can get my hands on, I'll try to make a walkthrough for it. But anyway, slide down that rope. You'll get a little prompt to go open this door for Elena, and that's going to feed us directly into Chapter 10, which is a very simple chapter. So thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you're enjoying, and I will see you in the next video.